is 9 o'clock, time to conduct the business of the Wayne County Board of Commissioners. I'd like to encourage everyone to either silence your cell phones or cut them off. Our invocation this morning is by Commissioner Joe Daugherty.
Please join me in prayer. Lord, make your goodness and love be present amongst us today. Come bless us with unity, hope, and vision. Lord, we pray for unity. Build in us all a deep respect for one another. Lord, we pray for hope. Come stir your hope within our hearts and renew our faith. Bring hope for healing for all who are ailing. Lord, we pray for vision. May your vision fill our lives as we seek to improve the lives of the citizens of Wayne County. We ask all this in the glorious name of Jesus. Amen.
Mr. Gurley, please, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the February 16th meeting?
So moved.
Have a motion on the floor. Any discussion? No discussion. All show sign of right hand. Motion carries. Adjustments to the agenda, Mr. Honeycutt?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We would like to do one walk-on today. This will be under new business after our second public hearing at 9:30 to discuss sewer rate increase for the Genoa system.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
Okay. Any of the commissioners have anything that they would like to add? Good. Okay, Mr. Sir?
Need a motion to change.
I need a motion to change the agenda for that.
So moved.
Have a motion. All in favor, show sign of right hand. Appointment committee, Mr. Gurley.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Appointment committee met week before last, and brought this before you at the last meeting, and today it's in the form of a motion that we reappoint Ms. Fran Casey and Ms. Brenda Britt to the Wayne County Council on Aging, and that's in the form of a motion.
I have a motion on the floor. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, show sign of right hand.
That's all we have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Gurley. Okay, our first public hearing to receive comments on 2 corporate hangar ground lease agreements with the Al Oates, replacing the former agreement with Stroking Racing Incorporated. Lease 1 is for number 1 is for lease 3 corporate hangars, and lease 2 is for 1 corporate hangar.
And, Mr. Chair, we do have Brandon Gray here. Brandon is our executive director out of the Wayne County Jetport. Brandon has really done an incredible job on working on the leases and all the expansion opportunities that we do have. A lot of grant work that he's working on as well. Hopefully we can announce soon also. But just really appreciate the work Brandon does for us.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Brandon.
Ladies and gentlemen, I was here a few months ago, as you remember. We have a lease spot for what will end up being 4 corporate hangar sites. In the process of negotiating the leases, the lessee changed the name that he wanted the leases to be written in. It changed from a corporation over to his personal name, Mr. Al Oates. That's the reason for the hearing today. There's the diagram up on the screen. These 3 hangars, the 3 red spots, are the 3 that will be built on the front end. Those will be started in April. They'll start their site work, and then we'll have 1 site left. We'll have to do some more construction for an apron and a new pad site here for 1 more, for a total of 4. So we're We're changing from, initially, when I was here, we were going to do it in two phases, 2 and 2. We're still doing 2 phases, but it's 3 on the front end and then 1 on the back end instead of 2 and 2. And we're changing the name. Other than that, all things stay the same.
Any other questions for Mr. Gray?
Are they all the same size hangers?
They are not. So the two that are adjacent there, those are 120 by 100s. And then the 2 on the back road, that one and the fourth one that'll be built are 100 by 100s.
Got it.
And also, as the board is aware, this is an economic incentive for us as well, because there will be a minimum of $1 million in property value that has to be stored in each of those hangars regardless. So we will be getting the taxes off of $1 million of personal property. Hopefully that will be more, but that will be the minimum that we will get as far as personal property.
And that's for each hangar?
Each hangar, yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Question. That last little section, the last building, what is that just?
That'll be an available site.
I got you.
That'll be a pad-ready available site for development. It's a smaller because of the way the road comes in. It's
Right.
80 by 80.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
And all of the hangars that we have at the airport now are occupied, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct. We have 1 or 2 spots for transient people. They're not available all the time, but depending on the scheduling. Otherwise, we're 100% capacity. We're full.
We're
Mr. Chairman.
still moving forward with the project with UNC?
All that's should be in good standing, and yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, I do want to point out, I want to make sure everyone's aware that this was the site that we recently, I'm talking about within the last 2 years, actually brought about in regards to expansion out there. So this would in fact fill that up with the exception of this last site that we would have. I mean, that's remarkable that because we expected this to last us a good 10 years, and it's filling up within the first almost year. So it's just amazing. The road back here as well has been improved, and all that pavement has completed as well. So it's just been a remarkable thing that this board has had the vision to actually change the makeup of the Jetport to a commission. And as a result of that, through the efforts of the volunteers on that board, they have really come about with some amazing work and improvements. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And a great job. Thanks.
Thank you.
And we are moving forward with the next phase, correct?
We are. We've identified so if you're looking at the diagram to the right, which would be to the north of the airfield, is phase 3 of the development. So phase 1 is the gray area you see here. Phase 2 is the yellow apron. Phase 3 is the next 20 acres to the right, and we've started the appraisal process and funding approval process through the state for that.
Thanks, sir.
And I just can't praise it enough, because we've actually had to turn down some individuals with jets that wanted to come to our jetport. So
Several, yes, sir.
I mean, it's just really amazing, the growth we've had out there. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And most of the improvements is with private money and grant money, correct? A big part of it.
Well over 95% of it, yes, sir, absolutely.
Yes.
We'll do the math on that one.
We-
Go ahead.
we-
I'm just-
I wish we had some other departments that were able to do that. I mean, their hands are tied, they can't, but, yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Sure, absolutely.
Mr. Gray.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any comments that they need to make for this public hearing?
He's got some. I think he said he can't see. No. Over here.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Gray.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we need to act on this?
Close the public.
We're closed. Is there anyone else that needs to speak on this issue?
No one signed up to speak on it.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Chairman,
I need a motion to close the public hearing.
You can just close it.
You just close it.
I can just, okay. This public hearing is now closed.
Okay, Mr. Chairman,
Now the board can take action on it.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the ground lease agreements with Al Oates as presented.
I have a motion on the floor. Any other discussion? If no other discussion, all in favor show sign of right hand. Motion carries unanimous.
Mr. Chair, I just
Second public hearing.
talked to the time for the second public hearing is at 9:30. So if you would like, we could go ahead and do the new business for the sewer rate increase if you so choose.
Well, I think by statute, we're supposed to stay on schedule, aren't we, Mr. Parker? Okay, let's go ahead and conduct some of the other, we'll come back to that public hearing at 9:30.
We'll go to new business now, and it's a discussion of our sewer rate increase. Again, as I mentioned during the pre-agenda, I want to thank Commissioner Barbara Aycock for all her work, and also Kendall, Allison, Chip, Janice, and really trying to get to the bottom of this. We have done some really good work in the past 3 years. We've raised rates over 24% in the past 3 years, 8% annually. However, between the increases that we're seeing in Goldsboro, the I&I costs that we're having, we're really losing money with respect to our sewer. And I do appreciate the work and the detailed look that has been taken, but one of the things that the board asked us to do was to take immediate action. And we did have that committee that was set up to look at recommending rates now. And with that said, I'll turn it over to Kendall.
Our behavior. Yeah, we met yesterday. We've been working on this, gathering data and information to come up with as minimal of a rate increase as we could stand. But looking over everything that we've done, you know, we fixed I&I issues out there. I mean, we spent a lot of money on that. The most recent thing we did, we took billing and brought it to my office. Janice has been doing billing for sewer for 20 years or so, doing a great job of it. But with it being the meter readings going on in my office, the billing going on in her office, things didn't overlap like they should. Once we got them at the office and I really got to looking, we were missing a lot of stuff. Nobody's fault. I mean, if you're doing the billing over here, you put what goes in Department A, you put it in column A, and that's how you come up with your numbers. Well, we're realizing that's not what we needed to be doing. So we looked at some things. There's some issues with the billing from the city. There's some billing with the issues from the 2 water districts. We put in water meters 4 years ago. Y'all bought water meters for us 4 years ago, $10,000 a piece, and some of those we hadn't even been using the meter readings in the billing process. So we're fixing that. We've already fixed that. But even with that said, that realizes a few, you know, some of the, if you take a water meter, you know, with some of these businesses and homeowners, what was going on, we were taking the water meter readings from the water company, and we were just, you know, they were saying if they sold us a gallon of water, then certainly there was a gallon of sewer to go with it. Well, that's not the case at all. Because if this particular homeowner's got his gutters tied into it, if there's a ditch tied into it, if they just got leaks on their property, that's called I&I, and that's what we have to pay for that. And if they're, you know, just for instance, they bought 10 gallons of water last month, 10 gallons of sewer won't take care of the problem. Well, that's why you guys bought us those water meters, our sewer meters. And like I said, we've not been reading, we've been reading a lot of them, but we hadn't been reading all of them, but that is not the case anymore. We'll be reading those ourselves, and we'll be billing sewer, which will realize those losses. But even that doesn't take care of everything. What the city's charging us, in some cases, we were just swapping out. We were just letting them, if we're paying $6.47 per 1,000 gallons to the city, there's some sewers, some water that the water district furnishes the water, but they were billing it on behalf of the city, and we were just letting that just flow through our pipe. And the city, they were charging us $6.47. We were paying $6.47. We got 4 pumps pumping sewer 24/7. It didn't give us any money for our pump. So we've looked at that, and we've And that's just inside rate. Outside rate's $12.25. Well, it's just not working. You know, we have to have a little bit above what we're paying. Obviously, that's how profit works. And we're not looking to make a profit, but we got to at least pay the bills. So we all looked at the numbers, talked about the numbers, and we hated to do it, but it's looking like a 10% over what we're paying. Hopefully, will at least break us even, if not have us a little bit in there to, you know, for I&I issues and to repair pumps later or whatever. So we chose to look at going up, and I think, pardon me, I can't see this thing. Like I said, we were paying $6.47 per thousand for inside rate, and we're proposing raising that up to $7.15. That's actually a 10, what was that, Allison? 10.5%? Yeah, I see it now.
10.5, yeah.
And then outside rate, like I said, that is $12.25 per thousand. We're proposing raising that to $13.50. That's a 10.2% increase. And the only other thing we're proposing, we don't have anything in our paperwork at all for a minimum charge. And we've got some customers that's just, they don't, we billed one customer last month $1.60. I mean, that's not even worth the stamp it took to send them a bill. And we're proposing that in those cases, some people that just use very minimal amount of water, I mean, we still have the same, you know, we got to look after that just like we do everything else. And we were proposing the $35 minimum on any single sewer tap that we don't collect pretty much any money off of, if you will. And that's kind of where we are.
And just to clarify too for the public, the county is in the sewer business, but the county does not own a treatment plant.
That's right.
Everything goes to the city.
Yep.
And also there's 2 sanitary districts that's involved in this, and it's in better words, it's a jumbled up mess out there.
It is.
Because it goes, part of it actually goes through 2 sanitary districts, the county, and then to the city. But that just for clarification, that, you know, everything that pertains to sewer that the county's got anything to do with ends up at the city. So we're kind of at the city's mercy on what we charge.
That is correct. That is correct.
Mr. Chair.
Hey, Kendall, with these rates, what happens when the city increases their rate?
We would, and I asked that same question yesterday. Would this be, if the city went up, could it be automatically 10% more than they're charging? And I think we're being told that they would still have to come before you to give us the rate increase that I think you have to approve. And Ms. Barber, am I saying that correctly? The board would have to approve any increases. We can't just do automatic increases, but we have to watch that closely because that'll change in the next bill, and you won't even know it till you get the next bill. And that's what we would have to come back to the board and say we would need a rate increase because they had a rate increase. And like Ms. Barber said, just going from newspaper articles, it looks like that's going to happen, or they're at least talking about it anyway. So
at least 20%.
We have to stay a tiny bit above what they're charging, unfortunately, to be able to pay to pump that.
We do plan to meet in the next few months. I mean, as part of our budget process, we would be meeting anyway, but felt like that this would at least give us something to get us through the rest of the fiscal year and give us a couple of months to monitor how that impacts our revenues and then reevaluate that as part of the budget process for the FY22 year.
Okay.
Allison, have we reviewed Mount Olive's contract? I know there was an issue about Mount Olive's contract.
Mount Olive,
Mount Olive doesn't come to us.
They don't?
we have one, right. I know we had one with Seven Springs, right?
Seven Springs,
Seven
maybe.
Springs.
Seven Springs.
Yeah,
Okay,
Seven
have we-
And are taking that into consideration with these rates as well. They will be at the same rate.
We included them as well. They bought capacity from the county when they put that system in some years ago, almost 20 years ago now. And we decided to just keep that. Whatever we do, the inside rate for the city, we would do that same inside rate for Seven Springs, which would be $7.15, because they, like I said, they bought capacity way back when, so we can't charge them outside rate.
Mr. Chair.
Charlie.
We've got to charge a certain amount to keep our infrastructure up. I mean, the sewer pumps aren't, they're mighty costly.
Very
So
costly.
how long does it take us to, if the city goes up, Because it sounds like we're going to be behind the 8 ball regardless. If the city goes up 20%, how long does it take us? I mean, it's going to take us at least a month, if not more. It could be 2 months to go. So we would be 2 months behind, on their.
Well, I think one thing is we can just monitor, we don't have anybody, I don't think, over at the city letting us know if they make a vote that way. So I think one of the things is just kind of keeping tabs on maybe what's going on at their council meetings, and we could put it on the agenda the very next meeting. I feel like you probably could make it retroactive, Borden, is that true?
I don't think you want to make it retroactive,
Do not make it retroactive, okay.
but you could do it as a side thing, and if they're going to put it in their budget, that they're going up 20%, you can certainly put that in your budget as well.
Right.
What's a sewer pump cost?
I've got some of them that are 10,000. I got 2 of them that are 25,000 a piece if you bought them brand new.
Okay. And how old are they?
All of ours are probably within 3 years of all of them been replaced, but one of them $25,000 might quit today.
Is that?
You don't never know.
Right.
You don't never know.
That's what I'm getting. 10% over is not, that ain't going to cover it.
I think one of the other things that's really going to impact our decision going forward is the billing issues that we have with the city. And I think there's going to have to be a meeting that takes place to discuss and have a real understanding on both sides of how that needs to be done and make sure we're in agreement.
I think also we found some that won't even be billed, am I correct on that?
Oh, yeah, we found some.
We found
Yeah, we
customers that
found
won't
properties
even
that
be-
won't be billed. We found some that were underbilled, some that were going by water meters instead of sewer meters. We've identified a lot, a whole lot. And that'll make a big difference in what we make, but still, that won't cover. We've got to do the increase as well to try to get where we need to be.
10% over. I don't care what business you're in, you ain't making money.
No, sir. No, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Dory.
seems like since I've been on the board, we've been involved with sewer problems. And probably it'll go on from now on.
It will.
But I do want to point out that if you are a customer with the county sewer, you've got to recognize that the operation of that sewer system has got to be self-sustaining. And my argument has been from day one, and that is it is not fair to the majority, overwhelming majority, 98% of the taxpayers of Wayne County to actually take their tax dollars and supplement the cost of operating sewer. It's just not right. Those individuals that are using the sewer system have got to pay for its operation. And if the city goes up on their rates, we immediately, not 2 months later, immediately need to have notification from the city so that we can increase our sewer rates accordingly. Because during that 2-month period or 5-month period or whatever, in this last instance, we've been involved with 8 months that the county taxpayer has been supplementing and paying for the increases that we were hit with from the city after the budget process. It was after our budget process. But that said, it's just not right that the taxpayers supplement those sewer rates. So going forward, we've got to make it self-sustaining. And those individuals that are benefiting from the use of the county sewer have got to pay for its cost. That's just the way it is. If there are concerns, they need to be reaching out to the city because the city is the one. I read an article that they are anticipating almost 100% increase in their rates over the next few years. And as those rates go up, we are going to have to go up on our rates. That's just the way the facts of life.
Well, that's how I interpret it.
Agreed. But thank you for your hard work and efforts, because for every dollar that we're losing is a dollar that's coming out of our reserves.
And
Just to follow up with Commissioner Dauber's statement, we do treat this as an enterprise fund, and you're exactly right. An enterprise fund basically means you treat that as a separate business. We have an enterprise fund for our landfill. The landfill fund is specifically separate. It is not subsidized by any general fund from the county. It is, the revenues generated run the landfill. It's supposed to be what happens to a sewer fund. The negative thing about sewer is your cost. Sewer is what costs money to treat. Water is very cheap to get out. Water is very cheap to clean. Water's your cash cow. Sewer is where your lost lead is, and we're stuck holding the sewer bag and not the water bag. So there is really not the revenue that you can make off of water, that we have that opportunity. A lot of systems, they'll subsidize their water and sewer fund. You'll have a low sewer rate, but a little bit higher water rate, and it can balance out. We don't have that luxury.
Mr. Chair, I think I concur with you, Mr. Daughtery. It's not fair to our citizens here in this community that they have to eat that. It's been decades of mismanagement in regard to fixing some of the issues. And now, at the last hour, we want to charge the county citizens because of mismanagement of elected officials. During our retreat, we discussed potentially the county starting to plan for a sewage treatment plant. I think that's something that we definitely need to take seriously so that we aren't held captive by the city of Goldsboro. We really have to start to think about that.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Gurley?
are you ready?
Yeah.
I agree with Joe. The customers that's on sewer that reside in the county need to realize that they had no other option. Am I right? The septic system that they had either failed or was not, you couldn't repair it. So they need to be the ones that, absorbing, the cost. I mean, not everybody, not the rest of us is not eligible for it, so.
And Mr. Honeycutt brought out a good point. We're not in the water business. There's 7 sanitary districts in the county. 5 of them are made up of Wayne Water, and then you got Fork and Southern Wayne. But they're the ones that sell in the water. The county is not in the water business. In fact, we buy from them. But we are in the sewer business, and we've been in it for many, many years. And that's something that this board inherited, and the next board will inherit it also. But
Maybe they need to be tasked with this, looking at a sewer system.
Mr. Chairman, Kendall, are y'all still looking for I&I issues like the one we found?
Every day.
Have you found anything
I haven't
else?
found any that good yet. That one was a good one. That one was a good one. That's almost like a fire hose squirting in that man. Hope we got that one fixed, but constantly chasing them every day.
And leaving the small ones amount up after a certain period of time.
They do.
I mean, I'm serious. I mean, we got to start this conversation somewhere. And I know I'm not going to put Brandon on the spot, or I am, but he's on one of the water boards. But I mean, they're in the water business. They're selling the water. I mean, they two go hand in hand. I mean, I don't know if that's something that we could even talk to them about, or even. I mean, we've got to start something. And I've said this before. A sewer system is going to do 3 things. It's going to produce revenue because it's going to bring industry into places that you can't get industry right now. It's going to preserve more farmland than anything we've ever done because you'll start developing. And David here, I mean, he'll be developing sections of property now that he couldn't develop before because you can't get a septic system on it, which is going to preserve the prime, as we call prime tobacco land, that you can grow pretty much anything on. So, I mean, I think long-term, and I know it's going to be a ton of money. I mean, we've not even discussed the figure up here since I've been on here that it's going to cost long-term to do this project. But I just, I feel for the future of Wayne County, we need to look at the possibility of doing a countywide sewer system. Sustaining it on our own, as Commissioner Williams said, I mean, other than depending on the city, because the city's pretty much at their capacity, from what I understand. So, I mean, that's something, and I'm, there again, I'm up here throwing suggestions out, but, and I don't know the whole legal and what you can and can't do. I mean, environmentalists have kind of controlled the world now, but that's just my opinion anyway.
Mr. Gurley, Commissioner
ma'am.
Gurley, we also need, if we're thinking on those lines, we need to be looking at maybe able to purchase more capacity. This is through the state, so maybe Mr. Neal and Kendall and them can start looking at how we can get more capacity. Because right now, we're paying a premium rate to Goldsboro because we don't have enough capacity as it's going in. I think they were charging us from $6.47 to $14 anything over our capacity.
That's true.
So even at the $7.15 or the $12 or $13.50, if we oversend capacity, we still aren't meeting our money.
Yep.
And we have just about as much overcapacity going in as we do direct our rate
We have since November.
with the rain that we're having. So this is something we really need to be looking at if we're going on those lines.
Mr. Gray, did you have anything you wanted to say? You had that look in your eye. Since you were on the sanitary board.
I would comment if you'd like for me to, but other than, I mean.
No, that's your call.
That's another day.
That's your call.
If appropriate, I would say that your sanitary boards are in the same similar situation with the city. So I think a conversation between these two boards would be very appropriate. So I agree with Commissioner there on that, looking at that. And there's other boards in the same situation with regard to sanitary and sewer.
And just, I served on the sanitary board also at one time. I'm not now. But there needs to be some discussion, but it's going to take time. This is not going to be a quick fix. You're looking at a lot of discussion for a long period of time, because this is a very expensive project if it started.
Agreed, but we need to, at least, we need to start the discussion anyway, because we already see we've got issues, that is just compounded daily, basically. And we're pretty much at the mercy of somebody else, so.
Mr. Chairman, maybe we could possibly start the process in regard to at least getting a consultant to come by and give a presentation, give us some idea of what the process would be.
I just think that, I'm sorry, Chair. It just seems like between the sanitary boards and us as a board, we having one common problem, and that common problem is the city of Goldsboro and their rates. At the end of the day, we just have to be honest about that. And these rates started going up, a year ago. And I don't know why they continue to go up. They keep doing studies saying that they're behind in their rate, but also you're having financial problems, so you're behind in your rates. You try to figure out a way to make money. And it's costing the citizens of Goldsboro, it's costing the citizens of the county, and it's unfair, and just in my personal opinion. But we have to do what we have to do as a county to make sure that we're functioning proper and we're not losing money. We're not just out here working hard and not getting anything back for it. Like you said, Kendall, at least at the minimum breaking even. And we haven't been doing that. And I mean, and it's even what you said, not reading some of the meters and not charging a minimum fee. I understand that, but that still doesn't cover everything that we probably need to do moving forward. And if something breaks down, we have to repair it, moving forward in the future. I don't know a lot about sewers, but at the same time, whatever we need to do in the future, start looking towards the future, because, right now we're stuck, depending on the city of Goldsboro. Like Chris said, what can we do moving forward? Let's see what other counties are doing. As Commissioner Williams said, let's try to get somebody in here to tell us something. If we don't know, I don't know what all you know, or Ms. Barbara, you've been on this really diligently for a while. So, I mean, I just think that we have to stop kind of started just trying to keep things at the same level and start figuring out what we're going to do future-wise, because we're not going to be here, but somebody else is going to have to sit here. And let's make it easier for them. You know what I mean? Let's figure out how to really generate something better for the county, if that is a separate sewer or whatever moving forward.
Yes, sir.
And the follow-up, Commissioner Foster said, we still have an issue in the northern part of the county as well. We still have the Eureka issue, we still have the Pikeville issue, we still have the Fremont issue. You know, the local government commission right now is running the town of Eureka because they cannot afford the sewer bills back to the town of Pikeville or town of Fremont because of the I&I issues that they have had. So it is an entirely countywide issue, but again, as Commissioner Foster and Commissioner Williams has said as well, capacity is a huge issue for us with the city of Goldsboro. If you remember, we talked about some issues with Mount Olive Pickle and about having to maybe use them instead of the town of Mount Olive. There was not capacity that there was by the city of Goldsboro. So if we had to use the city of Goldsboro, we would have capacity issues. So it's going to get to the point where it becomes a major issue within our community for economic growth and development. So I do agree with the entire board that this is something that is countywide, not just for our Genoa system, but all across the county and also with the city of Goldsboro. If they're at capacity as well, we've got to get additional capacity.
Well, it is an issue because you just identified it. I mean, Mount Olive Pickle, one of our largest, industries in the county, is wanting to expand and needs the sewer. So, I mean,
Well, you also, I'm sorry. You also have development like we're going to be discussing today, People are building in the county, and you can't put septic tanks everywhere, and you're going to need sewer lines.
We're big, and I know this discussion needs to be taken seriously, but we're getting behind on our time too. We did have a public hearing at 9:30. My recommendation, Mr. Parker, we have a facilities committee. I would like to task the facilities committee to start looking and to process. I don't, and then just bring something back to us as the board at a later date.
Well, and Allison just brought me a note, and she's exactly right. About 3 years ago, we received a $50,000, I think was it the county or was it?
The county received it from the state.
That's right. The county received it from the state, a $50,000 grant to look at regionalization. Freese and Nichols did that study for us, and it gave us really a broad overview. We can kind of dust that off and get that out to the board and let you see what they said. But again, I think 3 years ago, it just kind of fell on deaf ears because, he who has the capacity and controls the sewer kind of has the power.
Well, let's let the facilities committee look at it and then bring something back to us at a later date.
Yes, sir.
But I would like to see a copy of that.
We'll get you a copy. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, they're recommending that we take action on the raise.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, you're going to need a motion on this rate increase.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Barbara Aycock, would you?
We accept a rate increase recommended by Commissioner Aycock and Mr.
I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Hardison. Any other discussion? If no other discussion, all in favor, show your sign of right hand. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you and everyone for your job you're doing on this.
Absolutely. Thanks, sir.
Very much.
Thank you again.
and keep an eye on the future.
Thank you, sir.
I just made a motion that we accept the rate increase as recommended by Kimball and Mrs. Aycock and staff
That would be effective March this year.
to be effective March this year. Thank you, Mr. Parker.
Okay.
Keep it straight.
Right, we are running about 10 minutes behind. The public hearing to receive public comments on a request to amend the Wayne County subdivision ordinance by adding section 70-104H4 to require a second full-service access built to DOT standards for subdivision with more than 100 lots with limited exceptions. The public hearing is now open. Mr. Gray, if you would, go over this first.
Okay. Good morning. What I'll do is I'll just kind of briefly summarize the amendment as recommended by the Wayne County Planning Board. The first part, basically, or the main part of this is that 2 access points will be required for subdivisions with more than 100 lots. And so by access points, what that's referring to is basically you have to have at least 2 full-service driveways in and out of that subdivision. The board did consider some exceptions to that, or a little bit of variance there. One is that as you develop a subdivision, or if there's an existing subdivision that was approved prior to this ordinance that had stub out, so it was already designed for the purpose of expansion, that subdivision could continue to expand. The board did not want to hinder that, of course. And then also, if you have an issue where you might have a topographic issue or a site distance issue or a narrow frontage where you can only get one access point, the board did put in here the ability to add an additional 50 lots. So basically, if you were not able to actually put in another driveway into this subdivision, you could get an additional 50 lots. So there are a couple of exceptions there. Now, with that said, anytime you have a development restriction like this that's proposed, of course, we do understand that there may be some concerns, and it will potentially have impact on future development. So we are definitely open to any comments, questions, or concerns regarding this. So I'll be glad to answer any questions at this time.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Gray?
Mr. Chairman, in our last meeting, I had asked also whether or not there would be a variance that application that would apply in the event that someone would require or request that.
Right. Our ordinance currently allows for a variance request with subdivisions. So that part's already incorporated in our ordinance for any sort of variance regarding the ordinance. So that's already in place for folks who would like to appeal or
Right. And I just want to make sure that was on record, that you would continue to have the option of a variance.
Right. That's right.
That you could request before the planning board.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Gray?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone from the audience have any comments that they would like to make?
Good morning. I'm David Perry. I appreciate you guys allowing me to come up and speak this morning and share some information, hopefully to help you make an informed decision. I didn't know anything. I'm a developer, been a developer since 2009, and I was not aware of this ordinance until, a proposed ordinance, until I saw it in the Goldsboro News Argus a couple of weeks ago. So I was not involved in any of the fact-finding or determinations of how this ordinance was built. So I kind of did it here in the 8th inning after I found out that this was on the table. So that's why I'm here speaking to you today. I sent each of you an email this weekend. Hopefully you guys had a chance to, or you did receive it, had a chance to review it. And I'd like to just share a couple of major points that I shared in the email with the people here today that didn't receive that. As a developer or, as a business person, I share all safety concerns. We want everyone to be safe. We're not asking for that to not be the case here. However, this ordinance has part of it has some specifics that I think might solve one safety issue. It may create another one, and I'm going to address those with you here just shortly. The North Carolina Department of Transportation has a minimum distance they allow between road accesses, and it depends on the speed limit, the traffic count, and whatnot. And basically, so the question I have is if this ordinance requires 2 access points, and then the DOT ordinance has a lesser distance between them, which rule applies? Which one overrides, or how is the decision made whether or not the drive is required or not? So that begs the question also, which is more of a safety hazard? Two accesses where you may have a traffic accident, or why this proposal is on the table for the safety of emergency vehicles assessing the development. Another point is, and I mentioned in my email to you that sometimes the DOT requires a turning lane, a developer install a turning lane. If this double access is required, it could double or triple that cost, which basically could either make the development not prudent to do. So here you're limiting landowners to be able to sell their property in Wayne County. If you still can do it, it's going to drastically increase the cost of the property, the lots, which is going to increase the price of the houses, which will hurt the affordability of houses in Wayne County. And we think that's a negative for the citizens. I did have the opportunity to talk with Sam Lawhorn, who's the district engineer for the NCDOT, just yesterday afternoon. He services Wayne and Johnston County, and he offered a couple of proposals, he says, that they use in Johnston County that we feel like should be considered. Well, first off, he said they allow gravel emergency access instead of a paved road, which would not kick in the DOT rule of being two drives. It'd still just be one drive. The access would be there for emergency vehicles to access into the development without the negatives of it being a paved permanent road. Also, he said in Johnston County, they consider stub outs as a access point, so contingent, on what the assess into those stub outs are, that could be considered an access point for an emergency vehicle. And also, it's where our proposed amendment was 100 lots with a possible variance up to 150. In Johnston County, it's 100 lots up to 200 lots. So that's something we feel like should be considered. So also, basically in closing, I just wanted to share some alternatives, to offer input from myself, some fellow developers and engineers that are with us, and some others that aren't with us. We all concurred on this. I'm just a spokesperson, I guess you'd say. But we feel like I'd like to ask you guys to consider to defer the decision today so we can gather some more information, gather up, and make a good decision, which is fair to developers and property owners and the affordability of homes in Wayne County. I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have any.
I also talked to Mr. Lawhorn yesterday, and he basically told me the same thing that he had told you. And there's value in both sides, and I agree. We need to try to reach a happy medium. But does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Perry?
One of these, like the emergency access, we've already got provisions for that in Wayne County, correct?
There's already several subdivisions that has that.
We've had one that has it, and some of the others, I don't know. Brian Jones, the engineer's here. He can address that.
I know there's the one on 581.
Yes.
One on 581.
Grayson's Creek
And I
will have it.
understand there's some in one or two in Dalton.
And I'm not sure if there's a lock break on that. I'm not sure.
That's and the stub out thing, we're already doing that as well, correct? We're stubbing out, but sometimes we're stubbing out to property that we don't own.
There are we have stub outs in some of our developments. Again, I think it's based on the distance between the roads and the lots and whatnot, but I'm not sure if there's a lot count. But there again, I think, Brian, you're going to speak today and address these. You can answer these questions?
Cover most of them, but I'll answer any questions you have.
Okay, cool.
And I think the issue, and David and I talked yesterday, because, I just want to make sure that we make an informed decision for the future, as well as the present. As I've been in the fire service for 37 years, and we've had incidents, in subdivisions, and we got some of the larger subdivisions in the Belfast community. Some have multiple, some doesn't have but one access or entry point. In looking long term, if you have a structure fire, and it's most of y'all have seen scenes with a house fire, you've got lines laid on the ground that you cannot move. You can slide them, but you lay a 5-inch on the ground, you're not going to move it but so far. And that's where we're doing mostly now is method one, which is the fire hydrant connection. So if you've got a house fire, you've got one entry point in, and a lot of this kind of goes back to the design phase of it, I guess. But if you have somebody in the back that has a heart attack, EMS can't get to them, we've got to kind of keep that in as, in consideration as well. I understand the cost factor. Also, personally, we've got some property that's landlocked, and, it's got one entry point into it. And for my children or grandchildren down the road, I'm not planning on developing, but grandchildren down the road, they may want to, especially if we do a sewer system. That's, it's kind of the first one to the punch, based on when I was talking to Barry, whoever gets that first 100 lots in, basically kind of, they're the ones that get it. The rest of them just, unless you can get another way out. So, we've got to kind of come up with a, and we've kind of talked of it pretty much. We need to kind of get everybody back to the planning stage, I guess, and everybody involved, and with emergency service, the developers, and the builders, and the planning boards, and all out. Let's try to kind of come up with a decision that benefits all, not just one area, I guess I should say. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else?
I think I understand the difficulties in trying to add and the changes and everything, but I agree with Mr. Gurley that there are safety issues, and sometimes to be safe costs you a little more money. If you live in a gated community, it's going to cost you more to live in a non-gated community. And I think that if, at the end of the day, that if, knowing that you install something for safety when you're building, I think the homeowners would appreciate it if you're selling them or whatever, and I think that they'll be willing to pay that extra at the end of the day just for that added safety. Because like you said, if somebody's at the back and those hoses are laid out in the front, or you got 3 or 4 fire trucks coming in, to, because it's like you call one, you call the fire department. I've recently had a fire, and I called the fire department. It was, I think, 5 trucks, but only 2 people were doing something the whole entire time. So, you have a lot of different issues that's going on, and I understand the cost of it and the hassle and everything, but I just want to make sure that we don't put the money over the safety, and whatever adjustments we can make, it's fine as long as we have another access point for emergency vehicles and stuff to get in and out. I think that would suffice as long as it's okay with the DOT, because at the end of the day, I think that their standard is going to go over ours, especially if those roads are being handed over to the DOT to maintain. And I think that's something that we have to look at in the future as well. So, but I'm definitely not against doing some different changes to, cost effective, but also I still would like to see that emergency side piece be there.
And I appreciate that, respect those points, Mr. Foster, and I want to reiterate, safety is number one.
Yes, sir.
Profitability and all that, you got to, it's like y'all talked about sewer, you got to have profitability to stay in business, but safety prevails. There's no question in my mind, and I don't want to, please don't let me come across as saying, that's not important, because it is priority one. We've all had some situations probably in our lives about safety that we remember, and so that is very, very important, of utmost importance. Thank you.
Anyone? Ms. Laycock?
One of the things, Ms. Perry, I'd like to bring up, from Johnston County, you were talking about the gravel assist. Have we spoke with Johnston County Fire Departments to see if this works very well with them?
I haven't, but that's a great point. I would suggest in this group that's going to gather to fact find and make these determinations of what's the best ordinance to implement, I think that would be part of the process to get that information. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it would,
Great point.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chair, I concur. I think that overall safety is very important, but I think that having another solution is a good thing as well. I think the gravel emergency access is something that could be feasible, as well as the stub outs. I think the solutions are better than just saying, I want to do it my way. So if we have another option, then I think that's a good thing.
Anyone else? I just like to throw in, like Mr. Gurley said, I've been in the fire service all my life. My dad was the first fire chief in the hunt, and every step he made, I made 2 behind him. So I've been in it all my life. And I also served for 9 years on the planning board. this is not a new conversation. I was on the planning board 15, 16 years ago, and this conversation, this is not a new conversation. But as the county has grown, my recommendation is to, for our facilities committee to go back to the planning board and get with some developers, and probably also need what the fire marshal involved in it, and take no action on this today, but let's sit down and talk about it a little bit more and see can we come up with a happy medium. I mean, I'd rather someone else to make a motion that would do that other than me as chairman, but that's my thoughts is I think this needs more discussion so we can come up with a compromise.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make that motion.
You're still in your hearing?
We'll do it after the public hearing.
And somebody besides Mr. Perry might. Anybody else sign on?
Yes.
Gentlemen that would like to speak.
Okay, all right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Mr. Perry has covered everything that I need to speak about.
Ron, you're an engineer. He has some questions I can answer.
If you have any questions, if you have any questions,
Mr. Aaron or Mr. Johnson, do you want to speak?
Does anyone have any questions for the engineer? Okay. Mr. Harry?
You need
Mr.
to
Harry,
close.
sign.
You're for public comments, sir. You're not for the public hearing.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So you would need to close the
Adjourn.
public hearing, and then Commissioner Ferguson can make his motion.
Okay. The public hearing is now closed.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we refer this item back to the facilities committee for them to act upon it. with the-
Planning.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, he said facilities committee. And so then to get together with the planning board and the necessary personnel and other departments to work out a compromise.
You got that, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Chairman, if I might ask for an amendment to that, would you just refer it back to the planning board?
Okay. Yes, no.
Because they need to make their recommendations, and the public needs to have input to the planning board rather than facilities, if you don't mind.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion. I'll amend my motion to, we just refer it back to the planning board.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Put it in Mr. Gray's lap.
Any other discussion?
Are we going to include that we get with the contractors?
Or that would be part of it.
Okay.
Any other discussion? I have a motion on the floor. All in favor, show sign of right hand. Unanimous. Thank y'all for being here.
And next on our agenda is the consent agenda that the board went over during our pre-agenda meeting this morning, and we present this for your consideration.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion on the floor. We approve your consent agenda. Is there any discussion? If no discussion, all in favor, show sign of right hand. Motion carries. Okay, next item is public comments. Anyone have any public comments?
We have Mr. Steve Herring. He's the only one signed up, and I have something for you. Mr. Herring, you can go ahead and come up and let me pass this out to the board before you start speaking, please, sir.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. And if one of you could save this for me.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'll get the timer started, Mr. Herring, and then you can.
Okay. Mr. Harry?
I'm Steve L. Herring, 349 Weaver Road, Goldsboro, NC, 27530, area code 919-689-2669. Lady and gentlemen, y'all are the last line of defense. If the federal government lets us down, the legislature in Raleigh lets us down, y'all are the last line of defense. We must take proactive steps to protect our rights from those who would dilute or eliminate them. A good example are the counties in Virginia declaring themselves to be sanctuaries for responsible and lawful firearms ownership. Wayne County needs to be a sanctuary county for firearms ownership. Please help us become a sanctuary county for lawful gun ownership. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Harry.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No one else signed up, Madam Clerk?
No, sir, that is all that we had, sir. The
Okay.
public comments can now be closed.
Public comment section of our meeting is now closed. I'd like to thank everyone that did participate. County Manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Did want to mention, and I hope that the board saw the email with respect to the resignation of Tiffany Creech from our existing industry position here in Wayne County. Tiffany has been just a valuable asset to the county and WCDA for, I think, over a decade. We appreciate the work that she has done. She will remain working for the community college in a grants position. So her last day with the county and working for our existing industry position will be this Friday. So we did want to just publicly thank her for the job that she's done and for her commitment to Wayne County, and she will be sorely missed within our community. So I did want to thank her for that, and we wish her well. But again, she'll still be tied into with Craig Fote, with the existing business and industry, because there's a lot of grants that are out there for our existing industries, and that's what she's going to be spending a lot of time on. So we'll still have that connection with her. With that being said, the county is taking applications for that existing industry position. That position, again, as we've talked about before, will be a county employee and be housed over at the Jeffries building. So the application is online, the job description is online. If you are interested, please go to the Wayne County or waynegov.com website, and you'll be able to see a copy of the job description and the application. With that being said, I do want to thank our health department, our EMS staff, Joe Gilly, Kayla, everybody that's been involved in signing up people for our vaccines. That has gone very, very well. The number of vaccines that we have been given or continue to rise, and we appreciate the governor and the state releasing more to us. If they'll get it to us, we'll get them in arms. But I appreciate also the help that the board has given as well with respect to volunteering, signing up, and also spending time at the vaccine center at the old Busman building. But things are going well, and we start budget process. We had our first budget meeting with department heads last week. We will set meetings with department heads beginning 1st of April. They're compiling everything now, and we're moving forward with the budget process. So do appreciate the support, and if you got any questions, just let me know.
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Tunnicott, are we still calling people at the call center? I noticed we have where you can sign up online also.
We are. We're trying to do both. I think we're eventually going to get to the point that once we get past the 65 and older group, it will be more online than it will be calling. And then we're also working on be able to do that so you can do online scheduling yourself for your first and second shots.
The new vaccine, are we going to get the new vaccine with the one shot, or are we going to still stay with what we have?
No idea. No idea. It is just really dependent upon what they'll send us. So.
Mr. Chairman, since that's been brought up, I was sitting there at my computer on Sunday. I think it was Sunday, it might have been Saturday, but anyway, all of a sudden it popped up that Wayne County was allowing online registration for the vaccine, and I had not gotten mine yet. I was actually waiting until after the 1st of March. And so I filled out the form. It's a very concise form. I filled it out. It immediately recognized my appointment was set for 1 o'clock on Monday morning. Monday afternoon, rather. Oh, thank goodness. At any rate, I just want to applaud Joel or whoever went in to develop
Joel.
this.
Yeah.
Because somebody
100%
spent
Joel.
some time to develop this. This is a in-county registration and is just fantastic. Not only that, but it sent me reminders to remind me of the appointment. I went yesterday and got my vaccination at the Busman building. And let me say this, I have to applaud whoever has arranged that entire process. It was very efficient. I was there. If I hadn't had to sit there and wait 15 minutes for after the shot, I'd been out of there in 5 minutes. I mean, remarkable. Wayne County is doing a fantastic job in regards to implementing the getting these vaccines in the arms. Doing a great job.
Very much.
I have to speak on what you just said, Commissioner Daughtry. I was stopped at the gym this past week by an older gentleman, and he said the exact same thing. He said he has a friend over in Johnston County, and he was like, they had talked about the process and how they had to sit there and just the time. I think they were there for like 2 hours and everything. He said that he came in, appointment on time, 15 minutes, they monitored him, got out of there. He said it was just perfect. So he told me to tell everyone thank you. So that's exactly what I'm doing. So yes.
Is that,
Great job.
Is that all you'll report?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Board of Commissioners comments and committee reports. Mr. Gurley?
Yes, sir. Of course, we've already gone over the appointments committee that we did this morning. Also, I'd like to reiterate to the public, if you're interested in serving on any committee, please go, I think we can do it online, Carol?
Yes, sir.
We do it online to register or volunteer, and then it would come before the appointment committee, and it shows you if you what committees that you would like to serve on. Second thing is I've attended. I was a little late. Thanks to Ms. Barbara, I made it because if she hadn't been for her, it was not on my calendar that I did not put it on there myself. For the DSS committee board, that's very eye-opening. I mean, they do a lot for a lot of people in Wayne County. You just, I mean, you know, my wife's in the counseling position with the school system, but she has told me on numerous occasions that the DSS does a lot that people just don't realize. And being a member of that board now, I see a lot. And their leadership is second to none, I will say that. Very impressed. To the vaccines, we do have, I reckon, stuck myself in the position to try to be around a lot, to try to see what I can to do to help. And Dr. Stackhouse, we do, helping with Dr. Stackhouse, we do have the Moderna, and we are getting the Pfizer through the state now. So that as of yesterday. Now, what shot you get, I have no idea. That's that's to the health department. We'll say the collaboration between the emergency services, Dave Cutterback, Aaron Stryker, Ryan Taylor, the health department. That's the reason that the process at the vaccine is working flawlessly. I mean, that's part of that plan that we approved this past month. That is, like I said, I've said this before, this is what we call in emergency services a no-wind, W-I-N-D event, because you kind of plan for the worst, and this just kind of falls into place. The call center, I've been over there right much. Joe, Kayla, Carol, Nanette, the ones in there, I mean, people don't, I mean, they're not leaving at 5 o'clock. It's 7, 8, 9, 10. Chip and Craig's been there. I've called Chip on a couple of occasions that I went there and asked him where you at. He's still there calling people. So the public needs to know. But please answer your phone. I mean, I've called a bunch of people, and when we go down the list, we put NA if no answer, and there's a lot of NAs. But then we get calls back. Well, I've not been called. We've tried to fix the issue. It's coming up as a robocall. We tried to fix the issue. I think it comes up now, non-public Wayne County V or Wayne County VAC. So please answer your phone. I despise robocalls, but in the next couple of months, please answer me if they call. The sewer system, we've touched on this today. This is going to be a project of mine. It might come to fruition, it might not. It's not going to happen overnight. I know it's a very expensive venture, but I think it's vital to the economic growth of Wayne County that we try to do what we can to look at the future of our county, and I foresee that being one of the biggest financial pieces that will help us in the future. And I think that's enough for me to talk about today.
Okay, thank you,
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Daugherty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In regards to sewer increases, we've got to find some plan where the city notifies us at the time that they put it on their agenda. That way, it gives us at least 2 weeks, if not a month's time frame before we actually monitor that, and as soon as they increase their sewer rates, we would increase ours. We cannot get ourselves back in the situation of waiting 8 months to respond to their increases. In regards to the Second Amendment, I believe, Madam Clerk, if you would go back, I believe 2 years ago, we passed here in Wayne County a resolution supporting the Second Amendment here in Wayne County. But if you'd get a copy of that to all the commissioners, that'd be great. And possibly send that one to Mr. Herring. Maxwell Center celebrated its 3rd anniversary. My time just flies. It's just amazing. 3 years ago yesterday, we opened the Maxwell Center. It's just been remarkable. We're looking forward to the time that they will get back to having some major bookings. Hopefully with the action of the city council yesterday, we can move forward in regards to our new hotel. Hope to see that within the next 18 months. That'd be great. And then I'm going to touch on a subject that I know a lot of people don't want me to, but I'm going to. We've got to open up our schools. There's been enough of political football going on with our schools. I cannot even imagine the damage we have done to our children by them not attending in-classroom instruction. I think they are just now coming out with some results showing how much of a failure rate it has accomplished. It's just absolutely being abhorrent that we would put our children through that. I don't know if they'll be able to catch up, but the sooner the better. This is not political. We need to open our schools up, and I, for one, would like to see that done just as quickly as possible. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Williams.
I just want to follow up pertaining to the vaccinations. First off, I want to thank the staff at the Busman building on Dixie Trail Road, all of the staff from the county that have been involved with calling individuals. It's been a low turnout for our Latino community and our African American community. We have enough shots that we can start to vaccinate weekly. We're getting a stockpile of shots. So if you feel like that you haven't been called, if your name is on the list, reach out to the health department. If the health department, for some reason, you're having a problem, then you can easily email me, and I'll follow up to make sure that you get vaccinated. It's vital. I know that Commissioner Daughtry wants to see our kids go back to school, but the best thing before they can go back to school is to get everybody vaccinated. So we can get you vaccinated if you want it. Thank you.
Mr. Foster.
No comment.
Okay. Ms. Aycock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Like Commissioner Gurley said, I volunteered some on the call center, and again, staff has been wonderful, and everyone I've spoke to has just been praised at what we've done. There's one thing that when the last time I called, a lot of citizens, we have a list with names and telephone numbers. There's a lot of these people we call, and it takes a lot of time, and I think Commissioner Gurley can attest to this, and the ones that's volunteered. A lot of people have already got their shots when we call. If there was some way, if they would contact us back to let us know they've already got their shot, would help immensely also, because this takes a lot of time. I know when I had my list, there was about 20 people I called. Well, I've already got my shot. Well, I could be calling 20 more people that hadn't had their shot and take care of them. The livestock meeting, we went to that, a few of us commissioners. First time I've gone to that, and it was very rewarding to see what they do for our community. Scholarships they give. I think it was 3 students they give scholarships to, and I did not realize what the livestock committee do. You know, they also sponsor the fair at the money that they put out to help the community. And it was very rewarding for me to hear and listen. And last year they did not have a fair, and I hope this year we can, but if things don't improve, probably not, at how well they manage their funds. Also, the DSS board, as Commissioner Gurley spoke of, great board, great staff. They are continually facing all kinds of obstacles, not only with helping others, as keeping staff, because we lose our staff to other counties. Ms. McGuire does an excellent job. Being separated from all her staff is a real struggle, and keeping everybody happy. And I do want to congratulate the Maxwell Center also on their 3rd year, and hopefully we can get back to business. I want to dress up again and go to a formal event. Also, I want to recognize Sheriff Pierce for helping me on one of my constituents. Received several letters about speeding in his area, and Sheriff Pierce went out and spoke to him And I contacted him again yesterday, and he's welcomed the sight of the extra deputies that are being patrolled in the area, and I want to thank you for that. That helps me a whole lot, maybe not get so many more emails that we're doing something. And I also want to comment on Representative Bell for the trash bill, that House Bill 110, helping us get this started off and maybe helping Sheriff Pierce have the funds to be able to utilize some of this trash, because it is terrible. I've had people on Facebook just make comments about the trash in our beautiful state. And I challenge everyone, just take a spot in your front yard and pick up trash. And if we all do that, we can solve a lot of the problems that are here. I have people just come by my driveway and just throw out trash in the ditch. I hope everybody don't think I drink all the beer of the cans that's being thrown in my front yard, because I picked up probably about 7 or 8 cans of beer cans the other day. So Sheriff Pierce, please don't think I do that. I'm not an alcoholic. I don't drink beer. But look at my yards on Sunday night and Monday morning when I get up, there's about 10 cans out in my front yard. So trash is everybody's responsibility, and we need to monitor our communities and take it at heart. But I do want to thank House Representative Bell for getting that pushed through, and I think it's really opening a lot of people's eyes when they ride down the roads and stuff and see the trash. Let's see. I think that's all I have. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman and Ms. Honeycutt.
Mr. Hardison.
Mr. Chair, I think all the commissions have covered what I wanted to say. A big thank you to the county staff and everyone involved with the vaccine program. One of the things that you may have noticed, the virus numbers are going down. You know, we saw that over at the hospital. I was in the hospital meeting the other day. So I think we had around 9 people in beds. And 3 weeks ago, it was around 30 some odd folks. So the numbers are going in the right direction. However, that does not mean that you don't social distance, that you don't wear your mask, and you don't wash your hands. We just need to continue doing those things. Mr. Williams made a comment about the underserved communities, and it comes in. I think it was last Thursday night. I was in a meeting with the North Carolina Association of Black Commissioners, and the governor was there. And his point is that, and I don't agree with the governor on much, but we do need to get the vaccine in some of these underserved communities. And I think, Mr. Honeycutt, and you and your staff have done a great job of trying to coordinate with the churches, the housing department, and so on and so forth. Still think there's more to be done. How we do it, I have no idea, and I'm pretty sure you don't either. But the government, the state is providing those extra vaccines, but we got to get the people to take them. Okay. Also, I think that's basically it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, board members. Most of what I was going to say has already been said. And again, the operation that Dr. Stackhouse and Dr. Wise and the health department and all of the staff, I mean, you know, if I start calling names, I'm going to leave somebody out. But you've heard of well-oiled machines. We've got a well-oiled machine in Wayne County when it comes to the vaccination. I have heard very, very little complaints, and the 2 or 3 of the complaints that I have heard, they complain about everything. I mean, you know, you just got that segment of people out there, regardless of what you do, whether it's right or wrong or whatever, they're going to complain. But everybody has been very complimentary on the operation that we've got as far as getting shots out. And all counties can't say that. But again, thank y'all to everyone. And I know several of y'all have been really involved. I know Commissioner Gurley, Commissioner Aycock, Barbara, and others have volunteered and helped. And that's it. When this board participates in things like that during the pandemics and other emergencies, it speaks highly for this board. It speaks highly for y'all. And Mr. Herring brought up about the Second Amendment. Yes, and Mr. Daugherty was right. And I know firsthand that all took place during the primary, and this old boy got through under the bus. But that's behind us, and the resolution, it was passed. And I want to thank everyone. The new 911 building, the A.J. Gurley III 911 Center is up and running. Probably been a few hiccups, but as far as I know, everything is running pretty smooth. Does anyone else have anything?
But you're still standing tall, right?
Huh?
You're still standing tall, right?
Oh, yeah. And I agree with Mr. Harrington 100%. That's for the record.
I was not able to go to the Joe Gurley 911 Center prior to its opening, but I'm wondering whether or not we might be able to schedule a time that would be convenient for myself and maybe some other commissioners that might want to go and actually see it in operation.
We go now?
I'd like to see it in operation.
Okay. We can go when this meeting's over if you would
All
like.
right, good enough.
Is that good?
We would have to adjourn this meeting.
Yeah, we're going to adjourn the meeting.
Then, yeah, 3.
Just 3.
Yeah,
3 at a time.
yeah.
If there's more than 3 that wants to go, why can't we adjourn the meeting over there, or is that not proper?
Yeah, you could do that.
So we can go over there and then adjourn the meeting at it.
Yeah, we can just recess it here.
Yeah, recess.
Okay.
We go.
Anyone else? All right, we're going to recess this meeting, and some of us go over to the 911 Center, and we can adjourn the meeting over there. Is that appropriate, Mr. Neal, Mr. Parker?
Yes, sir.
Do we need anything for closed session?
Yes.
That's good.
Okay. We're in recess then.